So the reading this week is from John Hicks, A Market Theory of Money. This is a book he published in 1989, the last thing he ever wrote. He was an old man then. And it was a very influential book for me. I came to start teaching here in the fall of 1987. So I was a young junior professor when I read this. And it gave me an idea that I've sort of been working with ever since. I only started teaching this course, Money and Banking, in 1996. But this has always been on my reading list ever since the beginning. And I think you'll see why in the reading. He's an interesting guy, John Hicks. He actually was responsible in a way for getting monetary economics started on what I came to view as a sort of wrong path or a misleading path in an article he wrote in 1933 when he was young, okay? And so in 1989, he's writing and saying, you know, that was maybe not such a good idea. Here's another way we could go, and a market theory of money, where he's thinking of banks as dealers. That's exactly how we're going to be doing in this next 2 weeks. So it has the imprimatur of Nobel Prize winner John Hicks, even though it took him until the end of his life to see that maybe that was the right way to go, and he didn't live to see the rest of it. So I think of him as the Moses of modern economics. I'm showing here this hierarchy of money, which you may remember from, I think, lecture 2. I don't think I had a slide then, but I have a slide now. In a way, what we've been doing so far in this class has been all focusing on this price of money, par. Okay? We've been talking about payments. Okay? And payments are made when this is about par. It's about a deposit account being delivered in payment of a debt, or reserves being delivered in payment of a debt. We've had an interest rate in the background when we've talked about the Fed funds rate and so forth, but we haven't explained where this rate comes from, you know, or what's the market for it. That's what we're going to do now. Okay? In the next 2 weeks, we're moving to thinking about where the interest rate comes from and what the central bank has to do with it. After the midterm, we'll be talking about the exchange rate here, so we'll be moving up in the hierarchy. And we'll also be talking about other interest rates, not just the money rate of interest, but also asset prices, so the price of risk and things like that. So we started in the middle, and then we're going to move on either side. We've been thinking about the banking system making payments to each other, banks back and forth, so that the means of payment have been reserves at the central bank. So we've been talking about par relations between currency and deposits. Banks having to pay currency or reserves at the Fed in order to make payments. Now we're going to be talking about prices. And we're going to be shifting to this, market maker, thinking about banks and central banks as, and in fact security dealers, as market makers, as people who create liquidity by offering buy and sell options to anybody